Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to apply Ashes of War to your weapons and armaments, and I'm also going to show you where to find those Ashes of War. So the first thing we're going to cover is how to apply those Ashes of War. And in order to apply those Ashes of War, you need to go to the Gatefront location, and coming from the first step, Site of Grace, which is right outside of the tutorial area when you start the game, we're just going to follow this path going northeast until we reach the Gatefront Ruins, which is right here. Once you reach the Gatefront Ruins location, there's going to be a bunch of enemies there, and some of the enemies are rather tough, especially when you're just starting the game. So you may need to explore the open world for a little while and start leveling up, get some better weapons before you try to clear this location. But once you are strong enough to clear this location and you have all the enemies killed, there's going to be a set of stairs in the center of the Gatefront Ruins location. You're going to go down that set of stairs, and that's going to lead you into an underground chamber. Inside that underground chamber, there's going to be a chest. Once you open that chest, you're going to get an Ash of War called Storm Stomp, and then you're also going to get the Whetstone Knife. Once you have that Whetstone Knife, that's going to allow you to apply Ashes of War to your weapons and armaments. And then in order to apply those Ashes of War to your weapons and armaments, you need to visit a Site of Grace. So walk up to a Site of Grace and then rest at the Site of Grace. And then while you're resting at the Site of Grace, you're going to select the Ashes of War tab. And that's going to bring up this menu. And you can see in the top left, you can switch through these tabs. You've got your equipped armaments, your melee armaments, ranged weapons / catalysts, and then your shields. In all of these, you can apply Ashes of War to, but the thing to be noted here is that Ashes of War only apply to certain weapons and certain armaments. And what I mean by that is some Ashes of War can only be applied to longswords, some can only be applied to katanas, some can only be applied to bows, and some can only be applied to shields. And all you have to do to check that is just go into your inventory and then go to the Ashes of War tab and then hover over that Ash of War to get a description of what the Ash of War does and what you can apply it to. And then back into the Ashes of War tab when you're sitting at the Site of Grace. In order to apply the Ash of War to any weapon or armament, all you have to do is select that weapon or armament you want to apply the Ash of War to. Since I'm on PC, I'm going to left mouse click on this katana, and as you can see, the only option of Ash of War that I can apply to this katana at the moment is Storm Stomp, because that's the only Ash of War I have that's applicable to this katana. Whereas if I select this heavy greatsword that I have two Ashes of War. I can apply that Storm Stomp once again, but I also unlock this Ash of War called Wild Strikes, and either of these can be applied. All you have to do once again is just select that Ash of War, and then you can select what type of affinity that you want to apply to it, and the affinity will change the type of stats that are on your sword or any type of weapon that you're using. So you can see on the right under attack power for physical damage, if I go with the standard affinity, that's changing the base stat from 117 to 136, and then there's also the additional stat just to the right of that, that's changing from 31 to 23, but everything else is staying rather the same. And I would just click on one of these affinities. So let's say I want to go with standard, and now that Ash of War is applied to this greatsword. And if I don't feel like using Storm Stomp anymore, then I can just go back into this tab once again, and I can reselect Wild Strikes. And once again, you can change the type of affinity that you're going to use, whether it's standard or if it's heavy. I feel like going with heavy because this will increase my strength from a D to a C rating. So let's go with that. And now that Ash of War is applied. And then we're going to back out of here. And then to actually use your Ash of War with your weapon, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you're holding your weapon two-handed. And if you want to do that, you need to hold in your event action button. On PC, that's E. On Xbox, that's Y. And on PlayStation, that's triangle. And while you're holding in your event action button, then you need to press in your attack button. So on PC, I'm going to left mouse click, and now I'm holding it two-handed. And if you're on Xbox or PlayStation, you're going to press in right bumper. And then I can let go of the event action button, and I'm still holding this weapon two-handed now. And now in order to activate the Ash of War ability on your weapon, if you're on PC, you're going to hold in shift and then right mouse click, and that'll activate the Ash of War ability. Because I'm using Wild Strikes, I'm going to hold in right mouse click and shift at the same time to just keep on using it until my FP drains out. And then in order to do this on Xbox or PlayStation, on Xbox you're going to press in left trigger, and then on PlayStation you're going to press in L2. And then finally, where you're going to find those Ashes of War, a majority of the time you're going to find them by destroying the ball that those little dung beetles are moving around. Then when you destroy them, most of the time you're going to get an Ash of War. And then other places that you can find Ashes of War are in chests, and then you can get Ashes of War from killing certain boss mobs, and there's even some NPCs you can find around the world that you can purchase them from. And that's all there is to it. So if you have any questions at all, please post them in the comment section. Subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.